I took melatonin every night for 30 days, and this is what happened. So, I took melatonin every single night for 30 days. I was hoping it would be the magic bullet for my sleep problems. I was chasing that promise you see on the bottle, waking up refreshed, energized, and ready to actually be a person. We've all seen it on the shelves, this little supplement promising a one-way ticket to dreamland. The internet is full of people calling it a miracle cure for our burnt-out, sleep-deprived lives. And honestly, I totally bought into the hype. But what I found was a lot more complicated. Instead of just getting better sleep, I got a whole bunch of unexpected side effects that made me question everything I thought I knew about it. My little 30-day experiment didn't just change my sleep. It sent me down a research rabbit hole that revealed some pretty surprising things about what we actually taking. This whole thing took a turn I never saw coming. And if you've ever considered using melatonin, you need to hear this. 1. The problem. My rock bottom with sleep. Before we get into the experiment, let me just paint a picture of my life 31 days ago. It wasn't great. My relationship with sleep was, to put it nicely, a toxic, on-again, off-again affair where I was constantly getting ghosted by the rest I desperately needed. It always started the same way. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind running like a hamster on a wheel that was on fire. I'd think about work emails, a dumb thing I said 3 days ago, what I needed to do tomorrow, next week, next year. It was a mental marathon every single night, and I was losing. Badly. I'd toss and turn for hours, then I'd do the worst thing possible, pick up my phone and start scrolling, knowing full well it was making everything worse, but feeling powerless to stop. Eventually, sheer exhaustion would win, and I'd fall into a light garbage sleep, only to be jolted awake at 2 or 3 a.m., my brain instantly back in business. The frustration was unreal. It felt like my own brain was betraying me. This before state wasn't just a nighttime problem. It bled into every part of my life. Mornings were an assault. The alarm didn't feel like a gentle nudge. It felt like a personal attack. I'd hit snooze 3, 4, maybe 5 times, and with each one, a wave of dread would wash over me. When I finally dragged myself out of bed, I felt like I was moving through jello. A constant, low-grade exhaustion was just my default setting. My days were powered by a sketchy cocktail of caffeine and sheer willpower. I'd drink coffee until I was shaky, just to feel a little bit normal. But it was a hollow kind of energy. My focus at work was completely shot. I'd stare at my computer screen, reading the same sentence over and over. My creativity, which I need for my job, was just gone. My brain was stuck in low battery mode. And my mood? Oof. I was irritable, snappy, and emotionally fragile. The smallest inconvenience felt like a massive crisis. I was short with the people I love, which just made me feel guilty and even worse. I was living in a permanent brain fog, just a passenger in my own life. I tried all the usual stuff, chamomile tea, meditation apps, cutting out caffeine after 2 p.m., a fancy new pillow, blackout curtains. Nothing made a real difference. I was at my wit's end, and that's when I turned to the solution that seemed so easy and so promising: melatonin. 2. The experiment. The melatonin promise. Walking into the pharmacy, I actually felt hopeful for the first time in a long time. And there it was, an entire shelf dedicated to sleep. Bottles promising fast-acting, extended release, and extra strength. I grabbed a standard bottle of 5 milligram tablets. Seemed like a safe, middle-of-the-road choice. Besides, more is better, right? That was my first mistake. So I set up my own little one-person experiment, the 30-day melatonin challenge. The rules were simple. I'd take one 5-gallon tablet every night, 30 minutes before my goal bedtime of 11 p.m. I decided to keep a detailed journal, tracking everything. When I took the pill, how long it took to fall asleep, any wake-ups, and most importantly, how I felt the next day. I'd rate my energy, mood, and focus on a scale of 1 to 10. My hypothesis was basically just the desperate dream of a tired person. I thought this was going to be life-changing, I pictured myself falling asleep within minutes, getting a solid 8 hours of deep restorative sleep, and waking up before my alarm, bursting with natural energy. You know, like in those commercials where people are laughing while making a kale smoothie. I thought my brain fog would vanish, my focus would become laser sharp, and my mood would be amazing. I genuinely believed this little pill was the key to unlocking a better me. I was excited, optimistic, and about to find out just how wrong I was. 3. The Journey, a 30-day diary. Week 1, the honeymoon phase. The first few nights were, not to be dramatic, magical. I followed my new ritual perfectly. At 10:30 p.m., I'd pop my 5 mg tablet. By the time I was done with my nightly routine, a gentle, pleasant drowsiness would wash over me. It wasn't like a sleeping pill that just knocks you out. It was more like a subtle suggestion. My racing thoughts, for the first time in forever, actually started to quiet down. I was falling asleep way faster than usual. My journal from night 1 just says, pill at 10:30, in bed by 10:50, felt sleepy, asleep by 11:10, wild. I wasn't spending an hour plus wrestling with my own brain anymore, and I was waking up feeling better. Not like a superhero, but noticeably better. The morning grogginess was still there, but it felt less like a lead blanket and more like a thin sheet I could actually push off. My energy scores in my journal were hovering around a 6 out of 10, a huge jump from my usual 3 or 4. By day 5, I was a full-on melatonin evangelist. I was telling everyone, you have to try this. It actually works. It felt like I'd found the cheat code for sleep. That first week was everything I hoped it would be, but like most honeymoons, it was about to end. Week 2. The cracks appear. The shift was subtle at first. I was still falling asleep pretty quickly, but the quality of that sleep took a nosedive. I started having the most intensely vivid, bizarre, and frankly exhausting dreams. These weren't your normal anxiety dreams. These were full-on, high-definition cinematic epics. One night, I was a detective solving a crime in a city made of candy. The next, I was flying a dragon through a thunderstorm while trying to file my taxes. I'd wake up feeling not rested, but like I had just lived a whole second life. My journal from day 10 notes, woke up more tired than when I went to bed. Dreamt I was in a 6-hour meeting about the color beige. Exhausting. Then came the sleep hangover. Instead of waking up feeling that slight improvement, I started waking up with a thick, heavy grogginess that was even worse than before. My brain felt like it was wrapped in cotton, and this feeling didn't go away in a few minutes. It would linger for hours, sometimes until lunch. My energy rating in my journal plummeted back down to a 3. My focus was gone, replaced by a dull, persistent fog. I felt slow and sluggish. Was I taking too much? Was this just my body adjusting? I decided to push through. Big mistake. It didn't get better. The quick entry into sleep was no longer worth the price I was paying the next day. The magic was gone. Week 3. The turning point. By week 3, things got even weirder. The grogginess and crazy dreams were my new normal, but then a new, more unsettling side effect showed up. I was irritable. All the time. My patience was 0. A slow driver felt like a personal insult. Misplacing my keys sent me into a spiral of rage. My journal became a log of my frustrations. Felt so angry today for no reason, snapped at my coworker, feel awful. Is this the melatonin? This was it. This was my turning point. I was more than halfway through my experiment, and not only was I not feeling better, in some ways I felt much worse. My grand hypothesis was in shreds. This wasn't working. I was tired, foggy, and now I was just plain mean. On day 21, I stopped just being a guinea pig in my own experiment and decided to become an investigator. I had been so focused on the effect of the pill, I'd done 0 research on how it actually worked. That night, instead of just taking another pill, I opened my laptop. I didn't just want to know if melatonin worked. I wanted to know how. What was this stuff I was putting in my body every single night? And what I discovered completely blew my mind. Hey, If any of this is sounding familiar, or if you've had your own weird experiences with a supplement, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I'm always digging into this kind of stuff, and I'd love for you to join me. Okay, now let's get into the science, because this is where it gets really wild. The deep dive. What I wish I'd known. The next few days, I fell down a research rabbit hole, digging through scientific papers, medical journals, and expert articles. The picture that emerged was completely different from the one on the bottle. I realized I had made 3 huge mistakes, all based on things I just didn't understand about melatonin. Discovery 1. The dosage deception. The first thing that shocked me was the dosage. I had casually grabbed a 5 milligram bottle thinking it was a standard dose. It turns out that's a huge dose. Our bodies naturally produce melatonin, but only a tiny amount. Think 0.3 milligrams. Most clinical studies that show sleep benefits use doses between 0.3 and 1 milligram. The 5 milliliters and 10 milliliters tablets you see everywhere are, for most people, total overkill. Taking a dose that high can spike your blood melatonin levels to way higher than your body would ever produce naturally. And what happens when you have too much melatonin in your system? You get that next-day grogginess, that sleep hangover I was experiencing. It's not a sign you slept well. It's a sign your body is still struggling to process the excess hormone. Even crazier is the lack of regulation. In the US, melatonin is a dietary supplement, so the FDA doesn't regulate its purity or dosage accuracy. One analysis of 31 supplements found that the actual melatonin content ranged from a fraction of what was on the label to nearly 5 times the listed dose. Another study found that 88% of tested melatonin products were inaccurately labeled. So, not only was I taking a dose that was already too high, but I had no way of knowing how much I was actually getting. It could have been 2 milliliters one night and 15 milliliters the next from the exact same bottle. Discovery 2. It's a signal, not a sedative. My second aha moment was realizing what melatonin actually does. I thought it was a sedative, a knockout pill. That is completely wrong. Melatonin is not a sedative. It's a chronobiotic. It's a timing hormone. It's called the hormone of darkness because your brain's pineal gland releases it when it gets dark. This release doesn't knock you out. It just sends a signal to your whole body that says, "Hey everyone, it's getting dark. Time to start winding down for sleep." It's the starting gun for the sleep race, not the finish line itself. This explains why the timing of when you take it is so critical. I was taking it 30 minutes before bed, thinking it would put me to sleep. But for shifting your body's internal clock, many experts recommend taking a small dose hours earlier. For instance, if you want to fall asleep at 11 p.m., taking it around 7 or 8 p.m. can help signal that nighttime is starting, aligning your internal clock. I was using it like a sledgehammer when it's meant to be used like a conductor's baton, gently guiding your body's rhythms. Discovery 3. The side effect connection and long-term risks. This new knowledge finally connected all the dots. Those intense, vivid dreams, a common side effect, especially at high doses. The irritability and mood changes, also reported. That crushing grogginess was a classic sign of taking way too much. My experience wasn't some unique reaction. It was a textbook case of improper melatonin use. But the most sobering thing I found was about long-term use. Short-term use is generally considered safe for most people. But my casual 30-day experiment was already pushing it. And the research on what happens after that is concerning. A preliminary study presented in November 2025 at the American Heart Association's Scientific Sessions found a troubling link. It reviewed health records of over 130,000 adults and found that those who used melatonin for a year or longer were more likely to develop heart failure compared to non-users. They were also nearly twice as likely to die from any cause over a 5-year period. Now, to be crystal clear, this study shows a correlation, not causation. It doesn't prove melatonin causes heart failure. It could be that people with other health issues are the ones taking melatonin long-term, but the lead author of the study said, melatonin supplements may not be as harmless as commonly assumed, and that was terrifying to read. The verdict and the new path forward. So, after 30 days and a mountain of research, what was the verdict? Did melatonin work? Well, yes and no. Yes, it helped me fall asleep faster. For someone who has struggled with that for years, it felt like a win, at least at first. But that win came at a huge cost. The side effects, the grogginess, the weird dreams, the irritability, completely canceled out the benefit. I wasn't getting better sleep. I was just getting to a lower quality of sleep faster. It wasn't the magic bullet I wanted. It was a band-aid that was causing its own problems. On day 31, I didn't take a melatonin tablet, and I haven't taken one since. The experiment was over, but my real journey to better sleep was just beginning, with a totally different approach. My new plan isn't about finding a magic pill. It's about giving my body the right signals to do what it does naturally. It's about all that boring sleep hygiene stuff that nobody wants to do, but is actually the only thing that works. The biggest change is my relationship with light. Light is the most powerful signal for your body clock. So now, I get at least 10-15 minutes of direct sunlight as soon as I can after waking up. This blast of morning light tells my brain, day has started, which helps set my clock for the whole day. Conversely, I've become a dictator about darkness at night. 2 hours before bed, my apartment transforms. Overhead lights go off, dim lamps go on. An hour before bed, all screens are off. No more scrolling. It's my way of telling my body, the day is over, letting my own natural melatonin production start its work. I also have a non-negotiable wind-down routine now. I read a real book, do some light stretching, and I keep my bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. It's boring, it's predictable, and it works. I'm not falling asleep as instantly as I did in that first week, but the sleep I get is deeper and more natural. And when I wake up, the grogginess is gone. I just feel awake. My energy, focus, and mood are all consistently better than they ever were on melatonin. My 30 days with melatonin taught me a huge lesson. I went in looking for a shortcut, an easy fix. But when it comes to health, there are no shortcuts. Melatonin isn't a simple, harmless sleep aid. It's a powerful hormone, and treating it as anything less is a mistake. It might have a place for specific things like jet lag, but it's not a fix for chronic bad sleep. The real solution is way less sexy. It's about syncing our modern lives with our ancient biology. This experiment started as a quest to fix my energy and ended up being an education in how my body actually works. I'm no longer chasing a quick fix. I'm focused on building a lifestyle that supports my health from the ground up. So, what's my advice for you? Be a skeptic. Be your own investigator. Before you try any supplement, especially a hormone, do your research. Understand how it works, the right dose, and the real risks. Your health is worth more than the promises on a bottle. This whole thing has been a real eye-opener, and it has made me wonder what other common health hacks might not be what they seem. That's why for my next 30-day experiment, I'm tackling intermittent fasting. If you want to see if it's another overhyped trend or a true game changer, make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching and sleep well.